Welcome to Project U podcast number 4. Today we have a very special guest, in my opinion, anyway. Danae, welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, and tell us a bit about yourself. I'd like people to know a bit about you. I think you are a super mum, I think.
I don't know about super mum.
I think so.
I have 2 children. I have a son who's 11, who's actually in the podcast studio right now, Harry, and I have a daughter who's 14 months old, Aurelia. So I have kids at either end of the spectrum who quite literally do nothing at the same time, which keeps me very busy. So I don't know about super mum, but super busy for sure.
Yeah. Well, a mother of 2, an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and you tell me that's not super mum?
It's funny when people use those words. I never think of myself in those terms. I do a lot of charity work, and I've worked for a charity for a long time. And I suppose I've, dabbled in a few entrepreneurial things, but I never sort of think those titles apply to me. I just think of myself as Harry and Aurelia's mum and Gareth's wife and people's work colleagues. Like I never think of those big titles in terms of being me.
That's because you're humble. So the way we've met has, for me, I think is just sort of divine timing, and we sort of have connected. And I think for me, this is a privilege having you on the podcast. But today we have a very, very special purpose.
Well, when I started working for you and obviously read your book, Project U, I suppose I always put my marketing communications hat on, and I was thinking about synergies that would work quite well with you. And I thought of my beautiful friend Lauren, who's the founder and CEO of Mums Who Wine. And I thought, gosh, I've got to bring the 2 of you together to do something, because I think her message is very important, but I also thought your message was important. And that's how Bridging the Gap sort of came to be, which is the event that you're hosting or holding at the George with Lauren on the 29th of September.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that event because it gives us a chance to sort of, self-care is, I'll backtrack one step. I firmly believe that we are drowning in information, but we're starving for knowledge. And I think everything is so accessible but so confusing, and it gives us a chance to sort of simplify a process that's become also overwhelming for most people, especially a mum of 2 or 3 children who's trying to find her place in the world again, who sort of devoted herself to a purpose outside herself for many years, but now wants to come back and go, well, this is me. But now it's like, who am I?
Yeah.
Or how am I? Or how can I become?
I think there's also a lot of information online on social media, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult to know where to start, whether it comes to how you approach your nutrition or how you approach relaxation. And, we were having a work conversation the other day with some other people that we work with, and what relaxation looked like for one of us was very different to what it looked like for another one. And I think there's a lot of pressure that comes with this idea that relaxation and self-care has to look a certain way. I need to meditate for 20 minutes, and I need to bushwalk, and I need to do X, Y, and Z, and then I'm in a relaxed state and I'm practicing good self-care, so to speak. Whereas I think a community that Lauren's built, she has so many events and she does so many things for so many different types of women that no matter how you look at self-care, there's something in it for you, whether it's you want to have a boogie with your friends and a glass of wine, or you do want to go on a 2-day hike or, a retreat to Bali. She's basically got you covered. So I think what's so exciting about the event that you guys will be doing at the George is that you've got a combination of all of those things. You've got someone like you who'll come along and discuss with, anyone that wants to sort of take self-care on board, specific ways that will help them. But then you've also got that opportunity to have some great food and have a glass of wine and socialise. And I think sometimes that's what we need, a really good balance of everything.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think put people in an environment where they can ask questions that in a different environment, a little bit too scared to or too shy to or wouldn't know how to, because most mothers, because they're so giving, they forget to receive. And I always say that to be a master giver, you need to be a master receiver.
Yeah, absolutely.
In our book, we say that a man who is born blind will never know the true meaning of darkness because he's never experienced the light.
It's true.
And so you need to experience both sides. You can't say that you are a master anything unless you've been the total opposite or experienced the total opposite. And that's the sort of the law of reciprocity. And I think an environment like that holds the premise for somebody to say, hey, hang on, you know what, I do matter and that I should come first. And the biggest reminder that I give mothers in general is that you're on an aeroplane and the air hostess comes up and gives you sort of the prompting that if anything happens, this is what happens, follow these protocols. And if the oxygen mask falls, put it on yourself first.
Yeah.
Because if you're no good to you, you're no good to anyone else.
Oh my God, my mother's been saying that to me for years.
Oh, wow. Okay, good.
Yeah, she's ahead of the curve, I think.
Yeah. That's awesome. The other thing is I feel like this event will help them have a level of self-awareness. I think self-care starts with being self-aware. And self-awareness is understanding what you're good at, what you're not good at, and what you need to get better at.
Yeah.
And this is not just a physical sense. It could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be psychological, it could be nutritional, habitual, whatever it is. And the idea is that you get the chance to ask questions or at least get some information that triggers you to ask new questions.
Yeah, and I believe everyone's getting a copy of your book that
Yes.
comes along, which is super
Yes.
exciting as well.
So they'll have a copy of it sent. So a digital copy will be sent to every single person's
That's amazing.
phone. And the coolest thing about the digital copy is that they'll get to search keywords.
Yeah, so whatever's important to them or
Yeah,
what
so
they're prioritising.
So
they
if
can
you
look
said
at.
sleep, for example, or better sleep, those keywords will then bring up every single chapter that has those keywords in it. Therefore, you can read about that rather than try and find it. I mean, I'm an old school type of person. I love to hold the book in my hand. But I thought this would help mothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that way they can have like little inserts and have notes on those specific pages and they can read the notes.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool. So it's like a Kindle version.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I look at people like you and I look at people like Lauren and I'm in awe because you have a capacity to give a part of yourself to everyone that you meet, whereas I would find that process quite exhausting. So I think bringing the two of you together to share, I mean, I think of it as a gift in a way, is quite extraordinary. I mean, there was a situation where we were working together one day and I was really, really stressed out. I don't know if you remember the day I'm talking about. Yeah. And you said you have to come back to your body today. And I was like, what does that mean? Anyway, you ran me through this exercise and I don't know if you remember, but I actually wasn't in touch with my body and you helped me come back to it. So I'd encourage anyone who's coming to the event, if they can grab you for a chat or a one-on-one outside of questions, just tips and strategies like that. It's so helpful. And I've done it again. I've actually looked up that process that you did online and I've actually done it again just to come back into my own body. And it was remarkable. I mean, I don't know how you know to do those things or you know to sense that somebody perhaps needs that.
So if I go back to how this sort of started in about 2011, I went to a doctor because I was diagnosed with chronic arthritis in both of my knees. And they sent me through this wild goose chase and it was MRIs, scans, you name it. And then he sort of had me predetermined, the outcome was predetermined, but ran me through this sort of mousetrap with no sort of, it was all dead ends. The summary prognosis was invasive surgery and I wasn't okay with that. And so I went to university to prove him wrong, as you do. But that's where the magic happened. Then I started looking at other people and say, hey, hang on, I just learned this, I can help you with that. And if I didn't know how to help them, I would research it. So they were helping me help them. Almost like the Jerry Maguire thing, help me help you, right? But 2015, there was this door that opened that I embarked on and I was part of the Australian Innovative Scientific Research and Development Program. And I invested all of myself into it. And I created a facility and I took participants, subjects, from all walks of life, different backgrounds of ethnicity, different sizes, different stress levels of professionalism or whatever it was. And then I started to learn. We were able to create something so comprehensive but yet so simple that it became a masterpiece. And then it was like, okay, well, how do we deliver this in an individualized way? and that was the next phase. And it's been going on. So effectively now 9 years, almost 9 years. But what's so beautiful about what we've created is that the app is the epitome of all of that. That you and I can grab this app, enter in all our personalized details, and then you'll get a program that's different to mine, although it follows the same concepts.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing about somebody coming up to me and having a one-on-one chat is they get a more individualized answer, response, rather than a cut and paste tips that are made for everybody, one size fits all. And that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the problem. And I think that's what makes your offering and Lauren's offering, even though they're quite different, so unique, because it isn't the one size fits all.
Yeah.
I met Lauren, it's going on 6 or 7 years ago, and we were both guest speakers at an event. And she was just, when I say the loveliest person you would ever want to meet, the first time I met her, I was just, and obviously formally trained as a lawyer, so not, you don't really think of lawyers as being lovely, beautiful people, but she was. And then she's effectively single-handedly built a community to help women and to help mums. And it's not just that one type of mother that you encounter at her events, 2.5 children. There's single mums, there's stepmums, there's, mums who are devoutly connected to their faith. There's mums that are just there for a boogie and a drink.
Yeah.
But I've never been in an all-female charged environment, because all of the events are just for women, where there is no judgment and everyone just comes as they are, and they're there just to have a good time, let their hair down. And it gives women that opportunity to go, you know what, the next 5 hours, I'm going to go get my hair done. I'm going to go along to this event with my girlfriends. I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to have a dance. I'm going to have a chat. And I think bringing together what you're going to provide in the Bridging a Gap event, where you're going to obviously have all of those things that her events usually consist of, but then an opportunity to talk about self-care and how it looks for everybody in that room. Because I think if one more person tells a mother, just sleep more and drink more water and do this, I think we're all going to scream.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Okay, drink more water. It's so generalized.
It so is.
It becomes confusing.
Yeah, I need someone to sort of stand in front of me at this point. I'm so busy, and go, have you got 30 seconds? And I'll be able to say, yes, I do have 30 seconds to unwind. All right, for 30 seconds, do this. I can do that. But sometimes I have days, Michael, where between 2 kids, a million jobs, helping my husband run his business, I don't feel like I'm not giving myself that time. Yeah. So I feel like if somebody sort of, I don't know if give me permission is the right word, but sort of sets me on the right track, the right direction, I think that's a really good way to handle it, to go. I need someone to do that.
I totally agree with you. I would 1,000,000% echo those sentiments. I think nobody needs to give you permission. Somebody needs to prompt you to give yourself permission to put yourself first.
But I think mums need reminding.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, imagine if all they took away from that event was that they got to high-five themselves in the mirror as soon as they woke up.
Yeah.
That to remind themselves that they are amazing.
Yeah.
That what they've been able to achieve isn't for the faint-hearted. We undermine the importance and the significance of mums.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Forget
100%.
just women. Put women aside. Let's focus on mums right now.
Yeah.
And I sincerely mean this, that some of the biggest inspirations for me are always mums, because I look at it and think, wow, the fact that you go through life with ideals that sort of precede you. What I mean by that is, how many women say, I need to be married by this age, otherwise I'm a failure?
The formula.
Get married by this age. If I don't have a child by this age, I'm a failure. And then you identify yourself as the fact that you need to have a child. And then you have a child. Then you put yourself on the back burner. And you could have studied, you could have gone to university, and now you're raising a child and you're learning how to be a mum because nobody gave you a course. You're sort of thrown in the deep end, and now life's changed. And then all of a sudden the child becomes independent, or at least then the child goes to school, and now you're finding yourself again. Who am I? I was a mum, but now I've got all this free time. What do I do with myself? Then you start questioning yourself. Well, how do I value myself? Or what what gives me significance? Before it was the child or the children, but now you're alone and you've got crickets. No identity. You're left to find yourself again, and this process repeats itself many times over. Nobody reminds mums that they are miracle workers, that they brought life into this world and so selfless. And I find inspiration in that somebody is so selfless that gives, like people say to me, how do you devote so much of your time to helping others? And I think, well, I've done nothing compared to what you have if I'm speaking to a mum.
I also think that aside from the balancing act that you're talking about right now, which is what I refer to it as mothering, balancing act, there's the aspect of men have one hormone, testosterone.
Okay.
We've got testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. We've got 3 hormones to balance in our bodies while we're doing all of this stuff, which obviously leads us hormonally in many directions over the course of a month. I don't think there's enough being said on that front about how we can take care of ourselves and understand that there's certain times when you're going to be up here, but there's certain times when you're going to be down here. And it's actually a normal part of your physiology. And factoring that into the balancing act as well, I think that's why self-care almost becomes even more important for mothers because you are juggling so much. Yeah,
you're right. So many women, so many men don't understand the sort of transitional processes that happen throughout a woman's life, let alone on a monthly basis, let alone on a daily basis. But imagine being able to catch it and not allowing it to escalate, because prevention is better than cure.
Absolutely.
And so if I can start my day ahead of myself, then I don't need to chase anything.
Yes.
And that's the premise. I love to educate. So I do some one-on-one VIPs. I don't take many people on, but I educate them on how to start their day best. And everyone says, okay, well, I'm struggling with sleep, for example. Well, better sleep starts as soon as you wake up. It's not right before you go to sleep. You can't be go all day and then try and switch off right before
So it's
you
like
sleep.
this idea of set yourself up for success kind of thing?
You are a very unique individual that's so in tune with your environment, that also has the ability to influence and impact your own environment and how your environment sort of receives you. Knowing that, if you're able to control how you handle life's adversities and not let it sort of rattle you, or at least process the hardships that you experience, then you're a force to be reckoned with. And that starts with self-awareness. And personal development isn't a once-a-time thing, it's an everyday thing. You constantly look. Aristotle says life's about being and becoming. Who we are today is not necessarily who we become tomorrow. The acorn becomes the oak tree, and then which produces another acorn. And so we're constantly evolving. So stop being so hard on yourself. You stuff up, cool. Acknowledge it, move on, start again.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say off record, I take my hat off to you. So poised, and you could be fighting wars that nobody ever sees or hears about.
Me personally?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
I could just feel it, because I know that you deal with things, like even though it'll probably, things that you experience might make a billy goat puke, right? And a billy goat can eat anything.
Really?
Yeah, literally. They'll eat your socks. But you'll deal with it well. And you'll cry your own tears when nobody sees it, but in front of everyone else, you've got this rigid backbone. I can see that.
You're a good reader of people.
Very.
Yeah.
But I can see it. And I know that some of the things that you experience aren't a walk in the park. But you kind of, and if you look back and reflect on yourself and look at where you started compared to where you are now, even though you could have been somewhere else, you've still done well.
Look,
because you land on your feet all the time.
The last 4 to 5 years, I mean, and I'm not saying anything to you that you haven't been through. Like we've gone, both of us have gone through marriage breakdowns. Both of us have gone through co-parenting situations. There are some really difficult times when you just kind of look up and go, my God, what is even going on? And would anyone even believe this if they weren't, my nearest and dearest having a front row seat to it? Like it's a Netflix movie. Yeah. But if anyone said to me, you can go back 5 years and have gone through nothing, I would say no. I'm happy to have gone through the last 5 years, because even though it's been rough, I've learnt more in the last 5 years about myself than I ever have in my entire life. And now it's not the absence of difficulties moving forward, because there's always going to be difficult moments, but they don't knock me on my ass the way they used to.
100%.
Now when the shitty things happen, I go, yeah, that's shitty, but you've got this. You can handle this, Danae. You've got it in the bank. You just keep pushing through. But where I fall down, I think personally, is that I kind of need to go, all right, you've battled for now 2 days, 3 days a week. You need a break, or you're going to hit a wall. And that's where someone like you, your book, Lauren's event, I kind of need a framework to help me, because otherwise I'll just keep going and then I'll get sick.
Yeah.
And then I'm in bed and I'm like, oh my God, why am I unwell? And then everyone around me who's close to me is like, yeah, because of X, Y, and Z, you giant nufty. Like, of course you're not well. You've just been charging through. So I really think, even if nothing else people get out of this event, but they learn to be able to acknowledge when they need to practice self-care, just have that recognition within themselves, I think they're walking away with something they didn't have before.
It's so significant. I think rather than people focus on the magic pills, people used to come up to me and say, hey, Michael, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And they were like telling me, but I already know what to do. I would say, hang on, wait a minute. I'm going to my car. And they said, what are you going to your car for? I said, because I'm going to get my magic wand.
Because I'm leaving.
Because everybody wants the magic pill. And what you got to realize is that if you stay in the moment and make the best choice relevant to that moment, the outcome of the situation it's simplified. The answer's right in front of you. We complicate life. It's almost like us trying to force a cap on its bottle. If you just place it there, leave it, you can just close the cap effortlessly. If you have a level of self-awareness that says, hey, I'm not okay today. So that's an acknowledgement. So to give you an example, in the process of developing this, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices like everyone else. I'm no different to a mother. And this is no different to a mother who sacrifices a third of her life, roughly, a quarter of her life, to devoting it to a family. Usually it's more than that. Just say 10 years. Imagine you give up 10 years. And if the most valuable commodity, the biggest billionaires, they'll go through life and they can turn over biggest deals. But one thing they can't do is buy back time.
No.
And so if the most valuable thing that you have in your life is time.
It is.
What are you going to do with it?
Non-renewable.
100%. So we need to value our life, aka our time, rather than try and manage it at value, because you can't manage time. I think it's a concept that is redundant. It does not make sense. You can't manage it. What you can do is value your time. Therefore, you prioritize where you place or invest your time. And so an event like this teaches you to put yourself first and say, hey, hang on, I'm not okay today. So I'm going to value my time and myself, and I'm going to heal today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put myself last. And if you've got a partner, spouse, husband, if your children are at school, you've got friends and relatives, the first thing you need to learn to do is lean on your friends and lean on your family, because we are mammals. And guess what mammals do? We're cliquey people. We love to be in groups. Not everyone can be a lone wolf and survive. Only Rambo does stuff like that. And look at him. He's got no social intelligence. He's got bad speech. I love Rambo too.
Everyone loves Rambo.
I love him. I'm obsessed with
We're all obsessed with John Rambo.
Big time. But the point is that we're not designed to be lone wolves. We're designed to have like-minded people comforting us, empowering us, lifting us up. The process and the cycle of life is that I get my knowledge and I have whatever skill sets that I have, and I can pick somebody up and put them on a brand new level. Somebody else is going to do the same for me. And that's how we evolve in life. Our children pick up an iPhone. We had this, I think we were discussing this in the last podcast, that a 4-year-old can do what an 8-year-old can't on an iPad, for example.
Yeah.
So we're evolving. We're constantly evolving. But we can't evolve and we can't be any good if we try and isolate ourselves and pretend like our problems don't exist.
Yeah.
And so if you can lean on people and have the right support base, then you can switch off. And you only might need an hour. Yeah. You might need to listen to 2 songs, cry, and you'll be okay. You just need to emote.
Yeah.
Otherwise, where are you storing these emotions? In the book, a whole chapter on emotions. So emotions are energy in motion. Emotions. We talk about how we encode emotions in the book. We talk about emotional addictions. We talk about what was the purpose of emotions and how they evolved. But if I experience emotions, for example, let's talk about grief. Very important emotion.
And enormous.
Huge.
Emotion.
But if I suppress that, that turns into rage, or that turns into depression, sorry.
Yeah.
Depression controls me, but grief, I'm in control. So we shouldn't suppress emotions.
Yeah.
And they're indicators. Or if I'm experiencing anger, which is normal, I'm angry, someone cut me off, I'm not having a great day, I'm not feeling good. If I suppress that, that turns into rage. Anger, I'm in control of, but rage controls me. So you make a choice. You can either emote and deal with it, or you can allow it to control the rest of your life. And if you value yourself, aka value time, then you'll learn how to process that and reach out. The coolest thing about these events, like Mums Who Whine, is that you have a support network.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Lauren has a support group where people reach out to each other, or at least mums can connect with other mums and they can lean on each other.
Do you know how it actually started? She moved to a new suburb, had no friends,
Wow.
literally put a message up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Does someone want to have a glass of wine? I'm new to the area. And she was inundated with women going, yes, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to do this. I'd love to do that. And that's really how the community has grown, which is quite extraordinary. It also goes to show that I think loneliness is becoming a bit of an epidemic.
Wow. It is.
And I think Lauren is combating that one event at a time. I notice, because obviously I follow her on social media, there'll be posts quite often about 2 women who didn't know each other, who are now supporting each other through something, whether it's a weight loss journey or a marriage breakdown or help with their kids. And I think part of self-care is the community you surround yourself with. I think friends are becoming more important than ever because a lot of us are stuck in our homes on our technology. Also post-COVID, where we were all locked up for so long and starved for connectivity. The only way we could, it was the first time in the history of the world that in order to show people you loved them, you stayed away from them and you didn't have a community. Yeah. And that is not something that you and I had ever encountered in our lifetime, and neither of it had our kids or our parents or grandparents in a lot of cases. So this idea of community is so important. It takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to be a fully functioning, well-adjusted adult, I think.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think what we've experienced in the last 3 or 4 years...
It's been horrendous.
It has been. The fact that we were isolated and the ramification of that isolation. From a psychological perspective, it is severe. Yeah. But what happened was we normalised it. It became normal. And so we regress. We don't speak up. We don't speak out. And the manifesto of Project U is that Project U is bigger than any one person. It's about real life. It's not about Zen-like mastery of oneself. It's not about counting calories. It's not about HIIT performance sessions. It's about the struggles that we all go through in our own unique ways. It's about the grit, the determination. It's about having the awareness to speak up and speaking out. And it's taking the first step to helping yourself and unlocking your full potential. And that's the premise of Project U. And how that looks for you is different for me. Yeah. In this particular part of my life, I'm driven to do things that are bigger than myself, that my vision makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and I'm okay with that.
Oh, I love being disliked. The older I get, the more I enjoy it, actually.
Yeah. It means you're doing something right.
If I'm not your cup of tea,
yeah, okay, absolutely. And you know what? Most of our life we go through worrying about what people think. And then we realise as we get older that no one really cared about what we thought anyway. So just do what makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
But if you can focus on your goals, focus on yourself, and continue to evolve, but be a good person, do the right thing, your life's going to be okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I always say that if we act in truth, that no matter the consequence or the outcome will always be good. No matter what we experience, the outcome will always be good.
Yeah.
Act in truth, your truth.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's cool. And I'm really looking forward to the event.
I think it will be so nice. And I hope it is the start of a series of events like that where, Lauren will be able to have lots of people come on and talk and offer sort of quick tips and tricks as you put it, to help, because I think sometimes it only takes 4 or 5 minutes to turn a situation around.
No, it does. Sometimes it only takes 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I think the more people are aware that self-care can be about 30 seconds of deep breathing, it doesn't have to be about 2 hours of meditation and yoga. Yeah. I think that it kind of takes the pressure off. And pressure off mums is a good thing. But I'm very excited about the 29th as well, and I think it's going to be wonderful. And
I just wanted to say, having you as an addition to our process of Project U has been, like when we first spoke, our COO, Barbs, he's like, Danae, I'm like, Danae's a must. You must have her. We must have her. And then he's like,
careful what you wish for.
Yeah, big time. And I'm like, yeah, these two are a must. We make sure that we keep them close to us. And the value isn't just in your experiences. It's in the fact of how you've been able to overcome your pains and move forward. And I think that translates into everything else that you do. And for me, that's inspiration.
Oh, you're very kind. I thank you.
I thank you as well. I'm looking forward to the event on the 29th.
Yeah, and obviously the book, which will soon be launched into your app, which will be amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait for the app. The app is sensational.
Yes.
Sensational.
So I thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here.